Thank you for that kind introduction, and I'm delighted to be here at IAA. I think it's by far the most active industry body, and I'm really happy to be part of the action. Whenever I sit in other industry body meetings, we actually spend some time actually discussing what all IAA has done and what can we do to kind of match up to IAA. So great job, Sundar and team. Okay, the topic that was given to me was, I know it's a knowledge sharing session, and the topic is more about how medium-sized agencies can flourish and so on. But I thought I'll kind of twist it a bit because according to us, the way we see it today, all of us are more or less in the same boat. There are massive changes happening in the environment, lots of disruptive technologies coming in, and the advertising business model itself needs reinvention, if not already getting reinvented. So what I'm going to share with you over the next 20 minutes or so is some of the learnings that we picked up, and I picked up over the last 20 odd years being in the industry. These are the 5 waves as we see it, and so with each wave, there's also an opportunity as to how you can ride the wave. So I'll tell you the story about the 5 waves and how we can ride the wave, all of us together, and also share a little bit from whatever I've learned in the past. Let me start by saying that while I worked in the media agency industry for close to 20 years, there were about 3-4 years in between that I actually got off the bandwagon, so to speak. I went into exile. It was self-imposed exile. I wanted to get out of the agency circuit and actually see what life looks like outside. And I dare say that actually I've learned a lot more when I was outside the media agency industry than when I was in the industry. I learned a lot more because I really came to grips with what are the real issues. I really had time to meet consumers. I really had time to work with startups. I had time to work with small companies. I had a lot of time to myself, so there was a lot of self-introspection as well. I think one of the dangers which people have, people like us who work in agencies all our lives, is I truly think an agency life, while it's exciting, it's great, it's also very superficial at times. One really needs to, especially people working in large agencies, people sitting in AC rooms in Bombay, Delhi, and doing media plans for clients in small town Tamil Nadu or Bihar is not really the right way of doing it. But I'm sure the smaller agencies to that extent are a lot more connected with what's happening on ground. So actually it was a lot of learning there. One of the reasons I got back, or the main reason I got back to the media agency world, a lot of people were surprised because when I left in 2006-07, I said I'll never come back to the agency life. There are lots of exciting things outside. But the reason I came back was because after having seen all the stuff that's going on in our industry, especially with digital, especially with areas like analytics, with measurement, I thought it's a fabulous opportunity to actually come back and use some of these learnings to try and see if we can actually reinvent the way we do things. And that's something which we are trying to do at Group M today. So let me start by talking about the first big wave, which I'm sure all of you know. It's pretty predictable, and it's digital wave. A lot of people say, is digital all hype, or is it real? Is it a real threat, or is it just talk? So I just want to take you through a few facts. Digital is only 7% of the total ad spend in India today. That's the estimate. It's about 2,500 crores of spend in digital. That's only about 7-8% of the total ad X. But let me tell you, it takes up 80%, if not more, of all conversation time with clients, with people in the industry. I meet at least 2 or 3 of my clients every week. We have over 300 clients at Group M. I meet at least 2 or 3 every week, and in the last many months, many years, 80% of the conversation time has always been around digital. Clients are no more talking about print advertising, TV advertising, because it's all a given. It's all happening very smoothly. Clients want to know a lot more about digital. They want to know what's happening on mobile. They want to know why in India, despite having 750 odd mobile handsets, we're not spending enough on the mobile. We're not using mobile as a medium. So a lot of the conversation time is around digital. I was at the IIM Ahmedabad campus yesterday, as part of their, they were having a marketing seminar. And again, all the discussion when it came to media and advertising was around digital. So these are the guys who are going to get into the corporate world next year when they pass out. And there was not a single question on any other medium but on digital. So that's really taking up a lot of conversation time. Digital is growing at about 35-40% year on year, and we see this to continue for the next 5 years at least. All of you know that television growths have slowed down to about 9-10%. Print growths are in single digit. English dailies and business press is even lesser than single digit. But digital is growing at 35-40%. So if today it's about 7-8% of the ADEX, very soon it's going to become 15% of the ADEX. Digital is already the number 3 medium in the country, despite being only 2,500, 3,000 crores. It's already bigger than magazines, cinema, radio, out of home, and so on. The only 2 media bigger than digital are television and newspapers. FMCGs in India, normally people think FMCGs don't spend too much on digital. You know, they're into more of television and so on. But interesting statistic, 2012 over 2011, FMCGs increased digital spend by 45%. This year again, as per our estimate, FMCGs are increasing digital spend by 45 to 50%. And next year, the outlook is FMCGs are going to increase digital spend by 60 to 70%. That's the outlook for next year, given the the high inflation that's coming into television, a lot of uncertainty with the broadcast sector. So FMCG, which contributes about 50 to 60% of the total ADEX in India today, if they are increasing the digital spends by 50-60%, you can imagine the pace at which this is going to grow, and therefore the knowledge all of us need to have in this medium. Okay, so that's about the advertising spend, etc. and digital. Now what's happening on the consumer side? There are about 150 million people in India who have access to digital media. 150 million, which is about, you can say, 12% of the population totally. This number is expected to go up to, as per a McKinsey report, go up to 450 million, 3 times in the next 2 to 3 years, as per a McKinsey report. And 80% of these 450 million will be able to access digital through the mobile phone because of more and more smartphones coming into the country. So just imagine almost 40% of the population of the country having access to media 24/7 on their phone provides huge opportunities for all of us. India is already the second biggest Facebook market on the planet after the US. Facebook recently released their numbers, 83 million users of Facebook in India today. Every day, 12 million people log on to Facebook in India. And just a comparative statistic, every day 7.5 million people read the Times of India. So just see the difference, 12 million on Facebook, 7.5 million on Times of India. The number is quite different already. Every month, about 44 million people log on to YouTube. And if you look at a niche channel on TV, every month about 39 or 40 million people watch a TV channel. So people are already watching more of YouTube or content on YouTube than they're watching on television. So there are massive changes going on, as we speak in our industry. What this has also done, is that very interestingly, it's according to us, it's kind of flipped the organizational structure in some sense. Who are the ones who know digital the best? Obviously, it's the youth. We see it around us. Our children, our nieces, our nephews are the ones who are, more clued into what's happening in the digital world than we are. So what is really happening in the agency world is, when we say knowledge is equal to power, that power today is equal to the youth or belongs to the youth. So one of the things which we all need to learn to do is to empower the youth a lot more, because they're the ones who are more clued into what's happening with digital media. Before I complete the section on digital, I also want to give you an example of a client who's actually taken this to the next level, and this is Nestle, a client we work with, Nestle based out of Delhi. Nestle has actually set up a social command center in their office, which sits in the center of the Nestle office on the marketing floor. And what the social command center does is, it's a room which is about maybe 1/3 the size of this hall. And it's full of large screens all around. And it pumps data 24/7 on Nestle brands, whatever is happening from Twitter, from all the Facebook sites, what's being spoken about on competition, on categories, so on and so forth. So it's like the nerve center of the Nestle marketing floor, and people walk in and walk out getting information in real time. The minute an ad goes out on a channel, people comment about it, you see the comment, and so on. So you can actually take action also then and there. So this is actually the first form of real-time marketing that we're seeing. So far we've only read about it, we've heard about some companies in the West doing it, but today our own companies in India are moving towards real-time marketing. So all of this is because of digital. So the first big wave is the digital wave. Huge opportunities for all of us. I think there are bigger opportunities for smaller and mid-sized agencies than the larger agencies. The disadvantage is the larger agencies is that they carry too much of baggage. They have grown up over the years, 20 years, 30 years, handling traditional media, and today they have to suddenly make a switch. But for emerging agencies, it's probably easier to do it. So if you really want to be successful, go digital. The second wave that's sweeping the media and advertising landscape is what we call, what I call the democratization wave. And what I mean by this is, if you look at I think Sundar Swami made this point very well in his speech as well. If you look at the number of agencies in India today, it's actually gone up quite a bit over some years ago. And not just the traditional agencies. You know, if you look at, there are different types of agencies being set up in India today. You wouldn't have imagined there are agencies which do only, let's say, content for mobile. There are agencies who do only marketing analytics. There are agencies who do, you know, of course, only advertising. In digital, you have agencies which do only search. You have agencies which do social media. You have agencies that only do social listening. So there are many agencies, and also there are many more types of agencies. I mean, it's getting extremely fragmented in that sense. So this is really leading to the democratization of the industry as such. No longer is it a game of only the top 4, 5, 6 agencies. I think those of us who believe, or people who believe that, you know, the industry is going to continue to consolidate and ultimately there'll be only 4 or 5 players left. I think I don't buy into that. And you know, maybe I shouldn't be saying it heading Group M, but I firmly believe that that's not the way the industry is going to go. I think we're going to have a lot more of these specialist units which are going to be set up all over the place. In fact, this point really struck me very hard when I was in Bangalore last month. I got a chance to attend the Big Bang Awards in Bangalore, which is the Bangalore Ad Club Awards. It's equivalent to our MVs. And almost all the awards were won by small to medium agencies. There were hardly any awards which were won by the so-called big 4 or 5 agencies. And I asked the people who were sitting around me, who were from the Ad Club Bangalore, I said, you know, how old is this agency or that agency? And most times I heard, you know, this set up 3 years ago, set up 4 years ago, set up 2 years ago, young kids in their 20s going up on stage and winning most of the awards. Of course, and being Bangalore, I think a lot of them had also had a lot of tech skew. A lot of them were, you know, kind of digitally savvy. I mean, you could make out in terms of their output and in terms of their work. So I think it's a very good sign for the industry that it's got totally democratized, and it's a huge opportunity for the small to mid-sized agencies. The larger agencies are obviously fearing this. The larger agencies are fearing this because today competition for the larger agencies is not just other larger agencies, but a host of other smaller specialist shops. Okay, so the second wave was the democratization wave. The third wave is what we call the rebundling and the consolidation wave. Actually, this is a reaction to the democratization process. Because there are so many agencies, because things are getting so fragmented, what do clients see? What do clients want? And this is something I keep asking my clients when I meet them. For the client today, life has got a lot more complicated than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And this is what I hear my clients saying all the time. In fact, the other day, a client of mine was saying, I have 12 agents, and it's not a very large client, it's not a very large business. They have 12 agencies working for them, 12 agencies. And imagine just, I started my career in the early 90s in a full service agency. And we were just probably the only agency for most of our clients. So today clients have 12 agencies and 13 agencies. So a lot, and what's happening is that it is actually, on the one hand, the benefit is you have specialists working for you, you have super specialists working for you. But on the other hand, what it's doing is it's actually totally commoditizing the advertising product. It's all being chopped up and given to different people to kind of work on, optimize, and then brought back. And the client is not getting the right ROI and not getting the right kind of effectiveness for his campaign. So a lot of clients are rethinking this whole approach and looking at rebundling, looking at consolidating agencies, moving from 9 digital agencies to 1, so on and so forth. Here there is again, there are agencies who are handling it in different ways, and I think as far as the small and medium-sized agencies are concerned, again, opportunity for you. Again, I'll repeat the point Sundar made. Diversifying services, getting into areas beyond traditional advertising will help. Of course, you shouldn't stray too much beyond your core competence, but diversifying services helps to retain a larger share of the pie. I'll just take for a moment, probably it's the only time I'll refer to Group M because I think it's relevant here. Group M, when it was set up in India 10, 12 years ago as a media planning and buying agency network, it didn't just launch media agency brands like Mindshare and Maxis, but right from day one went and created a lot of specialist units in digital, in content, in analytics, in rural marketing, so on and so forth. So specialist units outside of the media agencies, and these specialist units were made to kind of service the media agencies as well. This was 10, 12 years ago. Today we have evolved to such a level that we have under Group M, we have 10 units, 5 of them are media agency brands like Mindshare, Maxis, MEC, Mediacom and so on, and the other 5 are these specialist units which have grown into digital content, trading, experiential marketing and analytics. Group M today gets more revenue from the specialist units than from the media planning and buying agency. So there's been a shift in our business model in a sense. And thanks to the vision of the Group M leadership 10, 12 years ago and the subsequent leaders of Group M who consistently followed that strategy of investing and of diversifying services, today we're able to kind of weather any storm, whether there's a slowdown or not, because we have a lot of comfort and revenue coming in from the emerging areas. It also obviously helps us keep the product contemporary. So that's a learning perhaps. Okay, coming to the fourth wave. So I spoke about so far digital, I spoke about democratization of the industry, and I spoke about, as a consequence to that rebundling and consolidation. The fourth wave is as we see it, very simply put, the India B wave. A lot of activity happening in smaller towns. A lot of brand building efforts happening in smaller markets, whether it's, look at the state of Kerala, look at the amount of advertising which has happened out of Kerala in the last 3-4 years, it's mind-boggling. The number of clients, the number of brands, the number of retail brands, the faith they have in advertising, the faith they have in brand building is enormous. Of course, we are seeing a few other pockets in the country follow suit. We have quite a bit of activity happening in the north and in the east as well, especially in the east in the recent past. Larger agencies like us will find it difficult to tap into smaller markets. Not because, one is of course we don't have the reach, but it doesn't take too much to put up an office in a smaller town. But I think more importantly, it's a question of mindsets. I don't think larger agencies are equipped to deal with the local entrepreneur the way smaller and medium agencies are equipped. And this is a fact. So I think smaller and medium-sized agencies have a huge opportunity in going down to smaller towns, casting the net wider, casting the net deeper, and maybe even partnering with larger agencies and helping the larger agencies, because if you can have a large agency as a backup, providing you the product and the knowledge and the service, etc., and you manage relationships, you understand the entrepreneur mindset. Probably it's a great way of growing the advertising pie and tapping into the opportunity which we say is the India B wave or the India B opportunity. Okay, I'm going to conclude my speech by talking about the fifth wave and again an opportunity. And this is broadly defined as, I put a lot of things together and I've called it technology. It's a disruptive technology wave that's coming into our industry, like in every other industry. Every business today, whether it's insurance, banking, telecom, microfinance, is being affected by technology. The very disruptive technologies coming in and completely resetting the industry. And there are some of those happening very silently in our industry as well. One of them is, I'll talk about a few which are very obvious and which are happening in India, and then I'll talk about one or two which are happening abroad but which will soon come into India. So the ones which are happening in India, all of us know that, I don't know how many of you know, but there are a lot of companies which are technology companies getting into media and offering media solutions. Amagi Technologies is a company based out of Bangalore. It's got a very, very innovative technology where they are able to actually offer split beam advertising, which is like a split run in print. They are offering the split run equivalent on television. So you can advertise one spot on a Star Plus program only for Madurai, or only for Chennai or any one market, despite it being a national channel, because they have the technology which kind of allows that. You're also getting a lot more accountability, addressability in the cable sector, and there are companies like SureWaves which have been set up over the years and which are making the whole, the advertising on cable a lot easier. They have a better technology. They give you instant monitoring reports, etc. You have a company like Telebrahma, which I think is a fabulous company in terms of the way it's come in and looked at the mobile medium and leverage. Basically, it's sitting at the intersection set of of technology and advertising and communication. In terms of the solutions that it's offering. A lot of these could actually start opening up interesting opportunities for all of us, and especially the small, medium-sized agencies. Could probably leverage some of these and provide unique solutions to clients. The other big shift that's happening globally, it's still early days in India, but what's happening is we are moving from targeting, segmentation, demographics, and all of that to audience planning. What is audience planning? On digital media, you can actually every time any of you gets onto a digital media, you know you're being tracked. You know, all the sites you visit, there are cookies that are being dropped, and over a period of time, your profiles, etc., are being built up by the publishers, by the sites that you visit. This data is then will be made available to advertisers, and advertisers will then be able to target audiences extremely effectively. Some of you would already be getting targeted. You go to a travel site, you look for a Jaipur ticket, and you then you know, get off and you go to another travel site to check if you can get a better rate, and suddenly you get an ad you know, on a low fare Jaipur ticket from the previous site, and so on. So the big shift that's happening globally to improve ROI is moving from contextual and demographic targeting to audience targeting, and that's again a technology which is, sorry, I mean, it's a technology in a sense because there are platforms which are able to do it, can create a lot of disruption in our market. So yeah, net to kind of summarize, there's a lot happening in our industry outside of our offices, whether it's a digital wave, it's a democratization wave, it's a rebundling and consolidation, and it's you know, India B and the opportunities there, and obviously with technology coming in. So I think there's no better time than now to be in our business, to be able to ride all these waves. And I thought I'll just, since Vishaka brought it up, I thought I'll just end by sharing my own personal learning of having worked in the media agency business. While I worked with fairly large agencies all through, when I joined, you know, each of these agencies was actually quite small, and Fulcrum was the first time ever that a media agency was set up in India, and it got pulled out of the creative agency. This is when we won the Unilever business in 1995, and I was fortunate to be part of the startup team at Fulcrum, and I saw my friend and ex-colleague Sandeep Tarkar sitting here. He was also part of the team. Maxis again was an agency that we launched in India in 2003, and this agency has today become a global network. It's the only agency of WPP which was launched in India and then got taken outside. I think the reason why both Fulcrum and Maxis have been extremely successful, both of them started off very small, both of them were the first in their spaces. I think first and foremost, of course, we had great leadership in both cases. Whether it was Fulcrum or whether it was you know, the other agency. The other point, of course, was that we had, I think the fact that we were small and we were trying to prove ourselves against some of the bigger agencies, you know, made it some kind of a mission for all of us to succeed against all odds. So I think if there's a rallying point for an agency, if there is something you set yourself your sights on, and if you want to really focus on it, you can take on you know, even the biggest and best of agencies. I think that's really extremely very key. And of course, the other areas in terms of just focusing on client service all the time, because one of the weaknesses of the bigger agencies is they may not always be the best when it comes to, you know, actually providing delightful client service, which again, smaller and medium-sized agencies are perhaps much better at. So yeah, that's what I had to share. I think net it's like I said, fabulous time, and we may need to relook at the rules of the game. We need to relook at the way we do business, but I'm sure it's going to be the most exciting 4-5 years ahead for all of us. Thank you.
So maybe you talk a little more about it, since I'm very keen to be interested.
Okay. Yeah, so when Maxis was launched in 2004, Group M had only one agency then, which was Mindshare. And Mindshare was the big agency which had all the big globally aligned brands. And Maxis was an agency launched to basically work with local clients and grow from there. So I think the leadership at Group M, a very visionary leader at that time, Andre Nair, you know, allowed Maxis to be the growth engine of Group M, and said, you know, whenever there's an opportunity, we'll try and go with Maxis. The key thing we needed to do as a small startup agency is we had to position ourselves the right way. What is the story that we're going to go and tell clients? How are we going to convince clients to come to Maxis and not go to any other agency? Those days there were only two other agencies, big media agencies, who used to, you know, go and win most of the businesses. I don't know if my dear friend and ex-boss Sam is in the hall, but there was Madison, which is still of course going very strong, and there was Mindshare. So there were only these two agencies which were pretty established. Mindshare was this big global network and part of Group M and all of that, and Madison was obviously very strong local agency, local insights, very entrepreneurial, very focus driven, and so on. So I think the key thing that worked for Maxis was the way we positioned Maxis at the start. We said Maxis, because we knew if we had to break through, we had to take on both Mindshare and Madison. So the positioning was that we offer the best of both worlds. On the one hand, we are part of a global network, which is Group M, so we have the same scale and expertise as Mindshare has at the back end. But on the other hand, we are in fact even smaller and more nimble-footed and more servicing-oriented than the other local Indian agencies. So positioning it as the best of both worlds, I think, was really key in terms of being able to make a breakthrough and win clients. But once you win a business, of course, it all depends on how much you're able to provide client delight and how you should therefore retain that business. And I'm very happy to say that even today, after maybe 10 years of Maxis's launch, most of the clients that we started with are with us today. And of course, it's grown pretty much beyond that. So after 2 years, the other thing that we set for ourselves is we need to be aggressive. We were the most aggressive agency in the market in the first 2 years. I remember we pitched for 30 accounts and we won 27 of them. So we had a solid base created in the first 2 years. And suddenly Maxis, which was just a small corner office in a small room in the Group M office in Bombay and Delhi, came onto the radar of our regional leadership and our global leadership, and they decided to take Maxis outside of India and make it an Asia Pacific brand to start with. So I was given the opportunity of leading Maxis APAC and creating a network, which I did for the next 1 year, helping set up Maxis across other parts of Asia Pacific as well. All of you know today Maxis has become a global agency, and in fact the global head of Maxis is my colleague and my predecessor at Group M, Vikram Sakuja. And given that it was born out of India and given that it's still very big in India, Vikram is still based in India, but he runs a global network, which is Maxis. So yeah, so I think what worked for us is obviously a lot of backing from the senior management, clear positioning, what is our offering in the market, delightful client servicing, relentless aggression, all put together kind of made it work.
Hi, my name is Flourish. I represent Sunny Advertising, and we are a medium small agency focused on newsprint and Mumbai. Now the question of what you spoke and Mr. Swami spoke was about multiple divisions which you people were able to create. Whereas our mind, the confusion is always to remain focused and have a very specialized, expertized medium, which at present, let us say in my case is newsprint, or move over to other things. There the challenge is that which we face at our level is always it is cross-subsidized internally in the office. In a sense, if you do creative, digital, they want it to be at a much lesser price because I am giving you prints, okay, cross-subsidized. At the same time, client also is looking for specialization. So if they are looking for digital agency, they say, I will go to digital expert. So this is always a confusion in our mind, how to grow or remain focused in one medium. If you can answer that, please.
Okay, I'll attempt to answer that. I think first and foremost, I think whatever is your core business, obviously, the starting point is you need to have some amount of scale in your core business, some amount of, need to have some amount of comfort in terms of the revenue, the profits you're bringing home, etc. before you diversify. Obviously, that's a very basic first step and it's a starting point. In terms of diversification and offering more services, I think the way to look at it is to actually look at, if you look at all your core key clients, the clients who've been with you and the clients who are part of your roster, go more by what they want and what they would like you to be and where you think they will have confidence in your diversification. That's the way, for example, we did it. It wasn't just generally going after 4 or 5 different areas, but going and looking at what some of our key clients are expecting from their agencies and what else they would like us to provide, kind of a thing. So I think that's your second step. You need to understand from your clients, and then of course if you can deliver some of those services as a next step, like Sundar was mentioning, getting the right people and so on. Now, how do you actually let's say make money out of it and not cross-subsidize and cannibalize your existing business? One of the ways in which it worked for us was to actually create separate identities, have a different person, a different leadership, a different visiting card, and position that person as a specialist, but from within the same network. So it's again like the best of both worlds kind of an approach. Rather than if you have a client who's like totally sold on your services and is been with you for many years and you think is going to continue to be with you for many years, maybe the way to approach it is to say that you're anyway working with so many specialists and me, what if I bring 1 or 2 of those specialists in-house within my team? You will still have specialists and me, but anyway it's part of the same group and we can synergize our services and offer you a better output. Maybe it will work.
Thank you.
Any other question? So I just want to ask one more question since the mic is with me. Group M has also started something with youth program, YP program.
Yeah.
Would you try briefly, because it's very important for all agencies, and I'm talking on their behalf, to nurture the young talent.
Right.
And mid-sized agencies, small agencies face the biggest challenge of attracting new talent and retaining them.
Right. Okay, so one of the programs we launched in Group M this year was something called the YCO. When we in fact came up with this our roadmap for the next 3 years, we looked at obviously all the stuff that's happening, and like I spoke about, all the disruptive technologies and digital. One of the things at Group M is we are constantly paranoid about tomorrow. We're not so much worried about today. We are maybe the largest media agency network, work with the best of clients, so on and so forth, but we don't think it's enough because we don't know, the future is getting so uncertain and it's so dynamic. We want to do stuff today which keeps us leaders 3 years from now. So one of the things we came up with was, was the YCO, because we felt one of the things that's happening, and I'm sure it's true across most agencies, because of digital and because of technology coming into our industry, a lot of the stuff that happens on a daily basis, people down the line understand it much better than people at the senior levels. In fact, our junior most planners and buyers are much more clued into what we should do, where we should invest. Today even some of them walk into my room and say, "Sir, I think we should buy over this company because they're doing XYZ." And I wouldn't even have heard of that company. So we thought that it's high time that we actually gave the youth in our organization a platform. So we have something in Group M called the EXCO, which is the executive committee. Like every company will have a senior leadership team which manages the agency, which representatives of all the agencies of Group M, CFO, myself. So we created a parallel body called the YCO. YCO as a youth committee, the youth executive committee of Group M. So the YCO mirrors the EXCO. We have people from all the agencies and all the offices, but the criteria is they all should be in their 20s. So the upper age limit for the YCO is 29. If you're older than 29, you can't be part of the YCO. And obviously you need to be a top performer in the agency. So what the YCO does is it acts as a pressure group to the EXCO. It actually guides us, helps us, tells us what's going on in the market. In fact, the other day, the entire EXCO sat in a conference room, finger on the lips, and all these little kids were presenting to us. They did a organization-wide survey on our HR policies and so on, and they actually came and presented the survey to the EXCO, and we all just listened to them for almost one entire day. They telling us what we need to set right, so on and so forth. And I think it's working really well, because otherwise if you start especially in a large organization, there are a lot of hierarchies, there are a lot of silos, you sometimes lose touch with reality. So the YCO is helping us in that sense, be better grounded.